So the Detroit Pistons this year stand at a 25-29 record, and you can call them one of the most mediocre teams in the league right now. And they've been mediocre for about a decade. And if you look at this current Pistons team, they don't really have a young player to build around. They don't have a onslaught of draft picks. They don't really have anything to base off of right now. If you look at the roster right now, you can probably call them a bootleg Lob City Clippers, as they have DeAndre Jordan, each player, and Andre Drummond. You do have a better version of Blake Griffin, as he's having a career year and is once again an all-star, basically reinventing his game into being an all-around player, someone who can be a reliable passer, create his own shot, and somewhat be a good shooter since he's lost his athleticism due to the consistent injuries he had while playing with the Clippers and him getting a little older. But you have those two. But where's the Chris Paul at? Reggie Jackson? Reggie Jackson's your Chris Paul. That's a joke. Reggie Jackson's probably best when he comes off the bench and you put him in the role that he had back in OKC. That's where you will find most value in a Reggie Jackson. He does not fit well with like a player like Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin's probably, you could say, he's the point guard of the Pistons team. Because Blake is a better facilitator than Reggie, the ball doesn't stick in Blake Griffin's hand, and the offense in itself just runs better with Blake handling the ball. But again, if we look towards the future of this franchise, or lack thereof, we can expect the Pistons to be in this same position for the next couple of years. They don't have much contract flexibility. They don't have basically any trade assets. Detroit is not a free agent destination. That's why they have to overpay players like Reggie Jackson and Andre Drummond, or take in large contracts like when they traded for Blake Griffin. Because the Detroit Pistons themselves know that nobody really wants to go to Detroit to play basketball. The management is subpar. The team has been subpar for, like I said, a decade. Even though they have spurts of getting into the playoffs, they got swept. I think when's the last time they got to the playoffs? 2015? Whenever they played the Cavs, even though it was a competitive series and whatnot, they still got swept. So that's their position right now. They're too good to tank, but too bad to do anything in the playoffs. And with their contract situation, and with them not having any type of trade assets, they really are stuck in mediocrity. They can't do much. Nobody wants to trade for Blake Griffin, as good as he has been, because of that huge contract. Nobody wants to trade Andre Drummond for Andre Drummond because of, again, that huge contract. Nobody wants to trade for Reggie Jackson because it's Reggie Jackson. You can find that type of player anywhere. So there's no room for improvement until these contracts run out. And that's when these players are older. Again, their trade value will decline even more. So until these contracts run out, until these players are starting to decline, there's no real way for the Pistons to tear down this team and start fresh, start new again. And until that day happens, they're going to continue to sign below average players to large contracts, players that have been thrown around the league, players that have little to no upside into potentially growing as a player. And it sucks because the Pistons for so long used to be such a respectable franchise. They always used to be a threat back in the 90s or the early 2000s as, a competitive Eastern Conference team. But nowadays, nobody even thinks about the Pistons because who cares about them? We expect them to be bad. And if not bad, again, mediocre. But if you like this little observation on what's going on with the Pistons, hit the like button. Check out the channel. We got more videos like this. Hit the subscribe button. And I'll probably be back either later on today or tomorrow, depending on when I get that video finished. But this has been Money Mac, and I'm out.